Castro's resigning. It was big news around the world as the communist dictator announced he was stepping down in a letter. Castro has been a thorn in the side of every U.S. administration dating back to Dwight Eisenhower, has been known for his brutal repression of free speech and dissidents in Cuba. But over at CNN, staffers were told in a note to accent the positive in their coverage. For example, please note, Fidel did bring social reforms to Cuba, namely free education and universal health care and racial integration, in addition to being criticized for oppressing human rights and freedom of speech. While despised by some, he is seen as a revolutionary hero, especially with leftists in Latin America, for standing up to the United States. Well, this note to CNN producers surfaced on several blogs this week, which raises a lot of questions. Be nice to the dictator. Remember the nice parts of him. I guess you could make the same argument for Saddam Hussein and Hitler. Juan?
I don't know what was going on there. I can only, I'm trying to think, what newsman is at work and saying, here is what we want to say nice about a man who was an oppressive force in his culture, in his society, a man who long ago left the heroic stance, the Che Guevara time period, and became somewhat of a hard hand that has left his people living at a low quality of life. I don't get it.
I'm surprised that they had to put the memo out, because for years, not only CNN, but all of the big media, including the Hollywood left, have been doing nothing but singing the praises of Castro. I found it to be a redundancy.
Yeah, I'm wondering who all those actresses and actors will go to visit now.
Yeah, exactly.
That have gone down there.
If you watch CNN's Cuba coverage over the years, you kind of wondered, are they sending around memos internally saying be nice to Fidel Castro? And the answer is yes, they are.
Jane, it was kind of surprising that you get this, even if they believed this, even if that was sort of the mind think at an organization, to put it down in writing and send out a memo?
Well, I'm not entirely clear on where this was circulated. I gather this was a producer who was on the international desk. I think that this may have been aimed at the international coverage, which they're afraid, sometimes can seem way too pro-American and xenophobic. And I'm assuming it was in the context of, remember, a lot of people still think he's a hero. A lot of people still think the embargo was our fault. That's what I thought they were trying to say. I'm not sure they said it well.
Well, this went out to the line on it is the CNN Super Desk, and it came from a producer at CNN. But telling people, look, you've got to look for the bright side of this, the silver lining in this cloud. Juan, I was still just kind of shocked that they would go there.
Well, I'm picking up on what Jane said. Maybe they're just trying to remind people, there's some who might view him as this romantic revolutionary, but I think as news people, you have to look at the realities on the ground. And I just think long ago we've gone past that era in Cuba, and even the Russians have bought off of Castro at this point.
Yeah. Let's take a look at another topic. A big win up for what's often been called citizen journalism. This week, a blogger beat out competition from the major media outlets to win a Polk Award, one of the highest honors in journalism. Micah Marshall of Talking Points Memo.com was singled out for his legal reporting on politically motivated firings of several U.S. attorneys around the country. So you've got a blogger, somebody basically sitting in their pajamas at home in the kitchen, sipping coffee and typing something out, and they're beating out all the big names. Cal?
Yeah, I think you're going to see more of this, Edie, as newspapers cut back and retrench, as networks close foreign bureaus. You're going to see more and more of the citizen journalism. I'm not sure that's a bad thing necessarily, as long as there's an editorial process in place to screen the information that they get. But I think the economics of the business means you're going to see more of these kinds of people.
Jane, is that a troubling trend, though? Because and Cal rightly questioned, what about basically the rules that you have in place? When you've got these bloggers, they're sitting at home. There's no one telling them, what's your second source on that? And, where did you get this information? Is it reputable? They're doing it themselves.
Well, I think you have to differentiate from the guys in their pajamas, who are out there stating their opinion. And Josh Marshall, who actually did reporting and frequently does reporting and even has people who work for him. He is trying to build a news organization. So I think it's different from somebody mouthing off, which is fine, but isn't reporting. So I think this does show that the mainstream media are shutting down in some areas, and some of this kind of reporting is going to move to the web. There's no two ways about it. I mean, I'm glad he's there because he did report a very important story.
Yeah,
Rich,
Jane is
very afraid for our jobs?
Maybe, yeah. I think Jane is exactly right. Josh may have started out, metaphorically at least, as a guy in his pajamas, but his site has been an interesting case study in the growth of the blogosphere, because he started out just doing commentary on his own. Now he has a news staff and can do actual reporting.
Things are changing. We have to take one more break, and when we come back, we'll tell you about a media battle between two